We learned a lot of like physical stuff. No, B is, but it's almost as awesome as A, that would often talk about sex, love, and twins. And I wasn't even recording in the first place. Oh. Let's rank all of my Yale Theater and Performance Studies classes, shall we? So I just finished a job interview, hence the polo, and I hope that you also appreciate the production value over there. My name is Arnold. I recently graduated from Yale with a double major in Theater and Performance Studies and Political Science. And in this video specifically, we're going to focus on all of my Theater and Performance Studies classes at Yale, and we're also going to rank all of the classes on an ultimate tier ranking list. It's important to note that we're going to rank them based on my own personal experience and opinion. This is by no means causing harm or making any specific judgments about specific professors or people. All the professors are all amazingly incredible and accomplished people who I respect and who I admire. I'm going to be referring to my laptop, my handy dandy script. So in fall 2018, I took a class called Composing and Performing the One-Person Play. In the summer of 2019, I took Acting British Style and Not Just Shakespeare, British Theater History. In the fall of 2019, I took the Survey of Theater and Drama and Introduction to Performance Concepts. Spring of 2020, Survey of Theater Drama Part 2 and New Play Development. Fall 2020, which was COVID-19 year, I took American Musical Theater History and Production Seminar Playwriting. Spring 2021, I took Dances from Indonesia. Fall 2021, I took the Senior Project in Theater Studies. And in spring 2022, I took Intermediate Acting. Wait, let me see if I'm recording the mouse actually. Oh, no, I wasn't even recording in the first place. Oh. Okay, I believe I'm recording now, but this is the Yale Theater and Performance Studies classes tier list maker. I just found this tier maker online randomly. I don't even know how people do it normally, but also, just to clarify, we're not sponsored by Estroven at all. That's just on the website. I do not want to be legally involved at all, but okay, just to explain this a little bit. So here we have all of my classes in chronological order down over here, and this was the first class. It was called Composing and Performing the One-Person Play. Now our job is to sort of fit all of these things in this tier list, and you probably don't really care about it, but I care about it, so I'm gonna use it as a self-reflective practice. So Composing and Performing the One-Person Play was a first-year seminar that I took at Yale, where basically you learn how to write and perform a play. This was a unique opportunity because the class is specifically only for first years, and what I liked is how everybody else sort of came from different backgrounds. They studied STEM, all these different majors, but it was a great inclusive environment. So I would put it in, you know, we got to start neutral so far. I tend to be nice, so we'll put an A because, you know, you learned how to write a play. You learned habits like daily writing, where you have to write for 10 minutes, clear out your thoughts, use it for imagination, generating ideas, and getting rid of your inner critic. And for both the midterm and the final, you would present the one-person play that you wrote. So what I did is I wrote about my roommate, Chucho, during the time, who was a very flamboyant international student from Mexico. And I talked to him about it, and he sort of helped me make a script about the play, and it talked about how, like, even though we came from like different backgrounds, we were still able to find similarities by being roommates. Very cliche. Because it was a great community, I learned how to write, perform in an inclusive, diverse environment. It was a great first-year class that introduced me to the theater studies curriculum. I'll put it at A for now. Also, just to clarify, the way I see it is that S is super awesome, A is awesome, B is, but it's almost as awesome as A, C is cool, D is damn, I wish I was cool. Yeah, so the next two classes, Acting British Style and Not Just Shakespeare, British Theater History, were actually a part of a Yale Summer Study Abroad program that I took after my first year. I talk more about that in this other video. Basically, Yale gave me funding to study abroad in England, and the specific program that I chose was called Advanced Studies in England, Bath. So I was there for around a month or two. It was the first time I was in England. It was amazing. Learned a lot about UK. That was an awful accent, but I got out of my comfort zone, learned about acting in theater, and brought it all the way back to its roots. I even went to like Shakespeare's house or something, watched a lot of like live plays, met a lot of cool people, interacted, and you know, I was really living my like British Emily in Paris dream. No, that was in Paris. Arnold in England dreams. It was great. So I would say Acting British Style. Well, both of the classes were actually very intense. So for this program I attended, it was a very small class, only 5 people, and I was the only guy. We learned how to like play with swords. We learned a lot of like physical stuff. Oh my God. It was great, nice and intimate. I'm really hoping Yassi doesn't watch this video. Learned a lot about like, you know, just moving around in your body, feeling it out, adjusting your tempo, taking risks. We performed monologues, duologues, and at the end we actually performed in front of the whole entire theater company. Traveled a lot, Traveled a lot to places like Oxford, London. So I'll put acting British style in A for now because it was physically intensive, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. But I'm gonna put my boy Billy Shakespeare history down below because, once again, not a critique on the professors, but I was more interested in the acting element of the program rather than the writing of it. And this was like a seminar that we met so 4 times a week. And sometimes I would just skim the readings and wouldn't be able to contribute that much to conversation, especially because it was only 5 people. It would be kind of awkward sometimes because you can sort of get away with it in like larger seminars or lectures in college or high school. So that's actually kind of making me want to put it at C. No, but I ended up getting a really good grade. He was a great professor. We'll put a B for now. We'll do a B. Next up, we have Survey of Theater and Drama 1, and right off the bat, I'll put it at B as well. This is because it is one of those prerequisite courses that you have to take at Yale, but it was great because you learned a lot about the foundational principles of theater, a lot of the original sort of playwrights and how theater is embedded into our culture. There was a lot of history involved, a lot of writing, a lot of group projects. But once again, it was a prereq class. Y'all know how I feel about prereq class. I mean, I know how y'all probably feel about that. So that's gonna be B or C. Nothing on the content itself. You learned a lot about theater from many different cultures, like Japanese culture and of course, white culture, but it was cool. It was cool nonetheless. So just to clarify, composing and performing the one-person play was my first year. These 2 British classes were in my first year summer, and now this is my sophomore year, and Introduction to Performance Concepts is an S. I already knew that from the get-go. So this is also a prerequisite class that you have to take as a theater studies major, regardless of whether or not you want to pursue acting, because a lot of people in the theater studies department have diverse interests, whether it's directing, producing, acting, writing, or whatever. But everybody, regardless of whether or not you act, you have to take this introductory acting class. Oh my gosh, this class was great for so many reasons. It was a great community of people. It was genuinely fun, met twice a week, but it didn't feel like going to class because we would just like experiment, learn about ourselves, get comfortable in our skin, do scenes, perform duologues. You would learn how to act on the most foundational principles, and you learn a lot of things like multiple choice acting, where you study a bunch of different techniques, and in acting you figure out which techniques work for you and which ones don't, and this could vary from time to time, day to day. You also did a lot of daily writing, and honestly the workload was also chill. Next up in my sophomore spring, we had Survey of Theater and Drama 2. I will put that in B as well, just because actually, no. Okay, so once again, Survey of Theater and Drama 2 is also a prerequisite course. The thing about this class is because it was the spring of my sophomore year, this is when the whole entire COVID thing happened, and we transitioned to online, but honestly, it was pretty fun. I did like a fun group project towards the end where we used Zoom to create like a live performance, and we had like this whole entire theater variety show at the end. And you know what? Because of that, I think I'm actually gonna still keep it at B, but maybe move it up a notch once or twice. I think during that same semester, I also took new play development, and right off the bat, I gotta put it up here, at least in A. It was great because it was like a seminar, but it wasn't too small, so it wasn't that awkward. And I also tried my best to speak up more during seminars and voice my opinion. So I think there was a lot of self-growth that happened there. And also weekly, we would also meet actual playwrights, and it was cool because it was basically modern theater and plays, because sometimes we tend to focus more on the oldies. It was really cool learning more about modern plays, playwrights, as well as the practical applications of it in terms of playwrights festivals, how the whole entire process works. A lot of reading very cool and awesome plays and participating in seminars, and it also helped me learn a lot about what makes a good play. So I'm gonna put that at A, and that rhymed. Call me Dr. Seuss, except Asian. Okay, American musical theater history. So next up is my junior fall, which was American musical theater history and production seminar playwriting. They were both seminars that would meet, okay, American musical theater history only met once a week for 2 hours, and the playwriting class met twice a week actually for a total of 4 hours. Right off the bat, this class is probably going to go somewhere over here. Partially because it gave me vibes of the Not Just Shakespeare British Theater History, where I genuinely felt like I was learning a lot, and I finally made a transition from straight plays to musicals, and it was very interesting because we embedded this musical element in it. The professor is absolutely amazing, has been tremendous and helpful, extremely knowledgeable. So it was a very fun class. But simply because of my interests, I guess, I would put it in B. And also, it was also a little bit nerve-wracking because a lot of the students were very music savvy, and they would talk about tritones and syncopated rhythms and beats, and I would be like, okay, what is what is a note? And but it was inclusive. It was mainly like a me thing, I would say. And also because it was COVID year, I don't think the sitting down in a chair for 2 hours is really conducive to like a great learning experience. Once again, nothing on the professor. The professor is absolutely amazing. I only have great words to say, but that's my own personal opinion on it. But you learn about a lot, man. You learn about the Rogers and Hammersteins and the Cole Porters of the world and the Lin-Manuel Miranda even. And I was also able to write about a lot of papers that related to Asian American representation in the American musical theater and theater scene more broadly. So a lot of stuff, you know what? Just because of that, that's actually right here. What am I doing? That's that's more accurate. Okay, playwriting, that also has to, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Come again, please. Yeah, please do that to my videos, please. Thank you. So this class, Production Seminar Playwriting, is also going to be in either S or A. I think it was S because if y'all don't know, spoiler alert, which you can probably figure out in this video over here, I wrote, produced, and performed in a play for my Yale Theater and Performance Studies senior thesis project. And this class over here taught me a lot about the fundamentals of playwriting, and you work with a group of other playwrights where you guys help each other out, you know, give constructive criticism, support each other. It's an amazing support group. You learn a lot about diverse voices and a lot of different techniques. And the professor was the same one for my introduction to performance concepts. She's absolutely brilliant. And it also genuinely just felt fun. You would work at your own pace, so there's no pressure to finish like a complete product for a play. There would be a midterm and a final where you would have to present your play, sort of. The professor would give you feedback, and also every single class we would write the class play, where basically during class, in the background, we would share this Google Doc where we would write 1 or 2 lines and then pass the play to another person, and then they would write 1 or 2 lines, pass it to the next person, and then it would culminate in a great play that would often talk about sex, love, and twins, and I think incest sometimes. It was weird. But it was great. It had a creative benefit, a social benefit, especially during COVID, as well as a practical benefit, which helped me write and rewrite my play, which was great. It was awesome. Gotta put that in S tier, man. That was super duper cool. For my junior spring, which was still COVID-19, I took dances from Indonesia. And this was also a great class because, spoiler alert, I'm Indonesian, well, part Indonesian, and it was just great learning about it. I've also done traditional Indonesian dance before, and I lived in Indonesia for a few years, so it was great, you know, sort of reconnecting to my roots again in that authentic way. And it was very fun, a great way to be active during COVID times. So that's definitely an A or B. I'd say around the tie, partially because I was already sort of familiar with the content, so it wasn't necessarily too challenging. Definitely like the body coordination aspect was. If I can find old videos of me performing, I'll definitely put that in this video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I know that post Arnold is going to regret that. Yeah. Okay, so we're in the final 2 classes. We have the Senior Project in Theater Studies, which is basically a weekly seminar that you have to take in addition to doing your senior thesis project at Yale. And the senior thesis project at Yale for the Theater Studies major specifically varies a lot, but the route that I took was to produce, write, and act in a play that I created. And if you decide to put up a play, put up a production using the Theater Study resources, as well as the theater itself, you need to take this class weekly where you all sort of like update each other on your progress. So it was great, it was fun, but once again, because my main focus was on my senior thesis itself rather than the class, this is gonna be the first C. I mean, it was great. I loved the professors. Once again, it was amazing. But in terms of like general interest, it met once a week, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Yeah, that did it. I'm sorry, that's a D. That's a D, Wednesday, 9 a.m. I remember I had to wake up super early for that all the time, and I wouldn't have the time to perform my morning rituals, so. Last but not least is intermediate acting, and this is an S. I have a bias towards this because I just love acting in general, and that's one of the main reasons why I went to Yale. And oh my gosh, professor's so awesome, very knowledgeable. There were a lot more practical insights in this class that we were able to sort of like build upon in like the initial introduction to performance concepts class. This was my last theater class that I took at Yale. I should have taken it a lot earlier, but I had to juggle classes with my poli-sci requirements as well as other general distributional requirements at Yale. But this was a very fun class. I felt like I was genuinely learning. It was a great supportive community. So I'm gonna put it in S. Wait. Whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yo, how can I forget one of the most important classes? Okay, what? Okay, so I'm gonna edit it here in post. So I took this class called Acting Shakespeare my senior fall, and it was an extremely intense class. You have to like audition to get in. There were like over 40 to 50 people who auditioned, but they only choose like 10 to 12. But it was a very intense class. You meet once a week every Friday from 1:30 to 5:20 p.m. It was very hard, very intimidating, but super rewarding. And that was because this class was taught by the dean of the Yale School of Drama himself. And oh my gosh, that's pretty much all you gotta say. Extremely knowledgeable, very talented, very pushed me out of my limits. Every single week we would have to perform, whether it was like a monologue or a duologue or like a scene, and there was like a final project. And you just learn so much about Shakespeare. And it's so weird because I want to mainly focus on more like film, TV acting. So initially I was like, why bother taking this Shakespeare class? But ironically enough, this Shakespeare class taught me a lot about film and TV acting. Acting Shakespeare has to be an S. I'm sorry, what am I doing here? Okay, I gotta like, okay, let me redo this thing again real quick. Okay, so just to recap, acting Shakespeare is definitely an S, so I'm gonna put that there. Introduction to performance concepts is up there in S, and then playwriting, and then intermediate acting. Yep, I like that. New play development was great because you learn about plays in a cool way. Musical theater history, similar.
Yep.
I think I'm pretty satisfied with this list. It doesn't really make any sense, but if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Please subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what you want next. Maybe my poli-sci classes in the next video, or if you want me to talk more in depth about this, or just more general stuff. But I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. How did I forget acting Shakespeare?